All right, welcome into another episode of 704 Unfiltered. I am your host, Nick Sturdivant. All right, so we have a special guest. I mean, she's family at this point. She's been here in the neighborhood, in the studio, a billion gajillion times. But if you haven't seen her here on the program, our next guest is an award-winning, nationally certified medical speech language pathologist and certified brain injury specialist with more than a decade of experience in adult and geriatric care. She currently serves as an assistant clinical professor at Northeastern University, unless that title has changed. I'll ask her that in a little bit. Where she integrates her clinical expertise with her passion for teaching to prepare the next generation of speech-language pathologists. She's a businesswoman, an author, founder of the Brain Talk Foundation, and a TEDxer. Welcome, Dr. Kelli, as I like to call her, and everybody else likes to call her, but her full name, Dr. Kelli Uitenham.
Thank you.
How are
Hi,
you doing?
Nick. I'm great.
How was that intro?
That was an amazing intro. I feel very Shannon Sharp-ish.
Oh man. Okay. All right. I mean,
that was a real rollout. So thank you. How are you?
I am doing well. I've been seeing Dr. Kelli a lot lately. I saw you at a football camp recently.
Yes.
We talked about Brain Talk Day. I saw you at Brain Talk Day. Dr. Kelli, are you stalking? No, I'm joking.
We've got to stop meeting like this.
I can joke with Dr. Kelli like that.
See, family. Yes, we can joke like that.
Let's start from the beginning. I feel like I learned, and I told you before, every time we have you on the show, we're talking about somebody else's story and how it relates to what you do, especially in the TBI, brain injury, concussions space. But I didn't realize until this week, I'm like, man, I really don't know Dr. Kelli. And I got a chance to know a little bit about you, and I'm looking forward to learning more. Let's start from the beginning. Where are you from?
I am from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. But
I say that I'm an honorary Southern Belle because I've been here for literally 30 years. This year is my 30th year in Charlotte, yes.
Grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, right?
Until I was 7, okay. But I moved to Charlotte when I was 7, and then because my dad and my all of my family really is still in Cleveland, I would spend my summers and holidays and spring breaks and things like that in Cleveland. So I say, yeah, I did grow up in Cleveland-ish, but that is definitely home.
What was 7-year-old Kelli like? Not even Dr. Kelli.
Not
Kelli
yet.
Like? What was elementary school, middle school Kelli like?
Fun. I've always been a daredevil, so jumping off of things, riding things really fast. My dad, he totally supported that, so he got me little mini motorcycles and go-karts and helped me with my endeavors to try new things, which is a big part of, I guess, why I'm so brave and like jumping out of planes and things like that. So fun, playing, with neighborhood kids and my cousins. And
you had a big family too.
Yes, very big family.
I learned that the other day. You have a big family.
Yes.
Now I got to ask, high school Kelli.
Yes.
Before you went to go, what was she like? Was she still that confident daredevil?
Yes.
Okay.
Confident daredevil, definitely a nerd. So got to have good grades, honor roll, but that was for the love of sports as well. So I ran track all 4 years. I was a cheerleader, and I wrote for the newspaper. I knew that I wanted to be a journalist from the time that I was 8 or 9. I went to Old Providence Elementary. And then I went to David Cox Elementary, and I was able to do the morning announcements. And from there, I was like, this is home.
I am going to be the next Hoda Copy.
Yes.
So, okay, why A&T? I mean, I don't want to say it like, why A&T? A&T is a phenomenal university. But yeah, why A&T? What drew you to North Carolina A&T?
Home, the feeling of home. So I actually was had my heart set on Syracuse because they have a phenomenal journalism program. Yeah. And then I wanted to stay closer to home, so I was thinking Chapel Hill. And then, as you know, my family, a large portion of my family goes to A&T, graduated from A&T, teaches at A&T or works there in some capacity. And I spent a weekend there with family family, and they kind of showed me around. I was still relatively young. I was in high school, but just the environment and how I walked on campus, and it was just immediately being embraced with love and a sense of home and family. And I was just hooked to that feeling of like, man, like if I have to go away from my family to come to another family, this warmth feels amazing. And it was just 4 years of absolute family and bliss.
And really, you didn't get away from family.
To an extent.
Can you explain everyone that was on campus at the time?
Okay, yes. So I have my uncle who, that's the first Dr. Uitenham, and he was the chair of the chemical, mechanical, and biomedical engineering departments at A&T. So lots of time in McNair. Shout out to the engineers. And his wife worked in the accounting department. Their daughter worked in the ticket office and graduated from A&T. And then her daughter, my uncle's granddaughter, she went to A&T. Then I was there, my sister was there, and then 2 of my cousins were there. And there was a lot of us that were there.
The Uitenham clan was just all across campus.
Yes, so that means you really had to be on your P's and Q's, because with the unique last name and all the I's, you better be good.
So I'm guessing you were in the books. You were not a lot of other things going on.
Other things, no,
Okay.
no. I had a great time in college. I mean, I had my fun that, family didn't find out about. So I had my college experience, but definitely not anything that, like, I had the foresight, because my thought was, this is fun, but what if my family finds out? Like, would I be okay with that? So that was the mindset. And I've, relatively always been a goody two-shoes, so it wasn't, hard for me to stay within those lines. But I had a great time, and it was good, having family there, and we would have like Sunday dinners and.
It was like what? It was like Stump the Yard. Like, I don't know if you remember that movie where they had family dinners on Stump the Yard.
Yes, except for it wasn't just one, that character DJ. There were several of us. Right. Yes. So it was a hefty dinner bill for my uncle every week, but he loved it.
Oh man, your favorite memory being on campus?
The night that Obama won the election. Yeah, I was doing look lives for TV One, which was like the honor of my life at that time. I was very heavy in the journalism department. I actually had a television show on public access that was called the Aggie Update. Oh, wow. And I would interview the different celebrities and talk about like the pop culture things and news that was going around campus. And so through that, I had the opportunity to connect with TV One, and they had connections with different HBCUs around the country. And we were doing watch parties. And I remember that they would toss it to me. I mean, we weren't live, but we were doing look lives. And I would talk about the environment in the room, and they would ask me questions. But I remember that when the announcement was made that he won, that everybody was running on campus, and we had a fountain that a memorial fountain for the A&T 4 and another Aggie that had lost his life for civil rights, and just to see the history and the comparison of, this is a memorial pool for people who have lost their lives for civil rights, and now we are celebrating in this pool for the first Black president of the United States. So that was definitely the most memorable moment on campus.
So now I gotta ask, I mean, and people are probably asking watching this, how you get from wanting to be a journalist, being a journalist, now you were working in the space to where you are now. Like, what was did you fall out of love with?
Never.
I mean, because I'd say you don't just leave the profession, you're always a journalist, right? You may not do the job on the day-to-day, but you're always a journalist, right? So what changed?
Well, I graduated when the world was...
The recession.
Yes, in a recession. So all of the news stations that I was applying to and begging to... They were not trying to hear it.
They were furloughing people at that time. Yeah, I remember that.
So there were not any opportunities, and I had a degree and no job, and so I took a brief moment of delusion and did some modeling and acting. Turned out that the starving artist life was not for me. So packed it on up, came back to Charlotte. I did live in Atlanta for a little while. I had an agent here in Charlotte and I had an agent in Atlanta. I did do some acting, I did do some modeling, and just the inconsistency of it all, that was not for me. And then I had a line sister, and she is a speech language pathologist, and she was telling me how she just came back from this national convention, and I asked her, what is that? It's called ASHA, and she told me about it, and she was like, it's for speech language pathologist, which is what she is, and she said you should take a look and explore. So I did, and I loved it because it was about helping people. And so there was a way to start the master's program as being a special student. And so I was able to do that. I got my master's, and here I am. Almost. I mean, that's very truncated, but that's how I got into speech.
Oh, so when did it hit you that, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going down this path, like I have been redirected by the economy and other circumstances, and I am doing this now. But when did it hit you, like, I am where I'm supposed to be?
Ooh, that is a really good question. Probably working with patients and that feeling of fulfillment and selflessness, because providing services means that it really is not about you.
Yeah.
And that feeling of just love. And like, I didn't feel like I was working, getting to connect with people and learn from people. I specialize in geriatrics, so I love that I get to essentially work with history, people who are like you and me, but they were on the grassy knoll, or getting to actually treat Holocaust survivors and hearing what it was really like. You learn behind the scenes things that aren't in history books, and it never feels like work to me. I really, really love what I do. And so the happiness and the joy that I feel from that is when I knew.
Is it heavy at all? Because I just think back, my grandmother had dementia for about 15 years. Wow. And it slowly progressed. And I know there are some where, like, 2 years and it progresses a lot faster, but 15 years is slowly progressed. And it was just a heavy feeling. I mean, somebody who was sharp, and they were not at all. She didn't even remember me. But for you, you see it on the day to day. You deal with it. Has that ever become too much for you at all? No. How do you deal with that? How do you cope with that?
You learn. Now, as a young speech therapist, it's tough to see, to witness those things and then have to bottle it up and keep going. But you learn that is the process, that you are a part of that, and you are still providing a service. And being able to connect with families and helping them with the process and helping them to understand. So even, working with a patient who doesn't recognize their grandson or recognize their child, and helping the family to understand. And so it could be that a family member is so upset that they can't, get their dad to remember that their name is Jane, and they keep calling them Connie. And so providing that education and saying, that your dad loves you, and it's okay if he calls you Connie. You can be Connie. And, just that helps to decrease the frustration of, it's Jane. But he knows that it's your face and that he loves you. And if it's Connie today, then let that be okay. And that little bit of just kind of relinquishing that control and that certainty of it needs to be this, sometimes it doesn't, for you to engage with a loved one and just enjoy that time that you have with them.
Yeah. And now I want to ask, what does your day-to-day look like? I know I'm kind of jumping a bit, but what is your day-to-day? Because I get on you for not sleeping. We had a whole conversation about it a couple of days ago. But what, for those out there, and I just want to put this in, how those kids at the football camp responded to you, right? You know how little kids are that age, elementary school kids, especially at a camp where it's very interactive and they want to go out and do things. They sat there, they took in everything that you were saying, and as soon as you were done, they ran over to you and asked you I was there, they asked you a billion questions. You're so engaging, but what does your day-to-day look like?
Well, thanks for calling me out. You did say you were going to ask me about this.
I gave you some props.
You did.
I led with love.
You did.
Like, you got there.
You eased it in. It was a nice, gentle landing. Yes, we can get into my routine. It is a bit hectic, unpredictable, chaotic at times, if you look at my April especially. But it varies. It really does vary. So I do a lot of different things. I am a professor at Northeastern University, our Charlotte campus, beautiful Charlotte campus. Yes, where you came and participated and were there for Brain Talk Day. So thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
So with teaching and being a supervisor, that requires that I am either teaching online, because we have 2 campuses. We also have a campus in Boston, and so I will teach the Boston students as well as the Charlotte students, and that will be virtually. So right now, my schedule is I'm teaching on Monday and Wednesday evenings, and then during the day, I will be in meetings specifically for Brain Talk Foundation. For Northeastern, we are in the process of establishing a concussion clinic so that we can actually see people who are concussed and provide services. Thank you so much. We are very, very happy and proud about the concussion clinic. So please stay tuned for more of that. And we are, what else do? I will see patients. So I do have a private practice that is a telepractice. I'm licensed in 9 states, so I see people across the country. I also see people around the world if it's for accent modification. And what else? I do squeeze in meal breaks. And barely, yes. But that can, run me into late at night, where I'm in the office at sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. But I do my best to get out of the office. I've had a goal this year to get out of the office before midnight, or at least by midnight.
Ooh, next year, can we move it up to like 10 p.m.? Maybe 11?
11, yes,
okay.
yes.
Baby
11.
Steps, 11.
Baby steps. I can do 11.
Okay, 11.
Yes.
Because you don't drink coffee, you don't do tea.
No.
I'm like, what are you powered by? Do you have a battery in your back? I mean, AA, AAA batteries.
I really think it's God.
Amen to
I
God.
asked him years ago, like around if journalism isn't it, if acting and modeling isn't it, I just kind of surrendered. And for a recovering control freak and people pleaser, it was very scary to ask this question, but I just asked God to use me, and he brought me here. And I continue to say that prayer every day, and he continues to do that. And I am walking by faith and not by sight. And all of the things that are being birthed from me, from the foundation to the workshop that I have coming up to the book, the TEDx, it is all him. So I really feel like I am walking in my purpose and just following his lead.
You hit on something, humility, right? Because it's so hard, because as humans, we want to white knuckle the steering wheel. We want to just control everything. We want to force the car to go this way, and sometimes we just have to let it go and let God move in us, right?
Yes.
And that's so hard. That is so hard when you have to surrender.
I don't think so now.
Now. I'm
yes.
talking about
at the beginning.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Yes.
At the beginning.
Because you're like, I don't know what he's going to use me for.
Right. And you want to be in control so much, and
yes.
you're fighting it, and you're like, all right. So at the point, you're like, okay, you got it from me, God.
Yes.
Oh man, see, I mean, I like to pick on Dr. Kelly, but it is what it is.
You're good at it.
2 things I want to get to: Brain Talk Day, the Brain Talk Foundation.
Yes.
Because that's the bigger piece. Brain Talk Foundation, and also the book. So that also ties in. How old is the organization? And is it? What year are we? We're 2026.
Yes.
2 years old? Am I?
2 years old.
Okay, okay, 2 years old.
Yes.
And I read something that what sparked the idea was a speech you made in South Carolina, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yes. So I was invited to be a keynote speaker or a featured speaker at the South Carolina State Convention, and they asked me to do 2 talks, and one of them was concussions, traumatic brain injuries, and the role of SLPs. And I was doing this 2-hour presentation, and I was shocked that the speech language pathologists that were in the audience, who have master's degrees like I do, went through programs and was educated on the topics and content that I was educated on. And so many of them had no idea about what I was talking about or knew that it was within our scope.
Really?
Correct. And then they were thinking about their own families. And so there were so many questions afterwards about who do they speak to? You know, there's no guide for if you think that, you know, your child or your spouse or yourself are experiencing these symptoms. And I was unprepared for that number of questions and that number of people who were not in the know about what I was sharing. I thought it was going to be kind of like a, you know, guys, but it was kind of crickets. They were like, we do not know. Yeah. Yes, we do not know. And from there, it became me thinking about like somebody is going to have to help and let speech therapists know that this is within your scope and you can provide these services and this guidance, and then letting parents and athletes know and coaches know and referees know and athletic directors. And I kept saying, somebody is going to have to. And then I had to look in the mirror and I was like, girl, somebody is you. And so that is how the foundation was established. And we've been going ever since.
Oh, man. And you wrote a book. And an interesting part about the book is not just you telling your own story or what you learned. You used the book I'm inspired by maybe a patient or a client, probably, I'm throwing it out there, but use someone else's story to kind of tell the story of what you see on a day-to-day and the message you try to get out there. Can you explain the book? Because you have the book right there, and I'm excited to read it. It is on my list. If you haven't got it, get it right now. But can you explain the book for us?
Yes, I can. It's called The 25,000 Mark. It's not just a concussion. This is Nick's copy. I brought him his own copy.
Yeah,
I'm going to sign it for you.
Honored.
Yes. And it's available online now, and soon it will be available for global distribution on Amazon and wherever you can buy books. So stay tuned. But right now you can get it on braintalkfoundation.org, and it'll take you right to the page where you can purchase. And there's an ebook available now as well. But this is essentially a hodgepodge of multiple stories of professional athletes that I've interviewed, patients that I've had, and me pouring it into a digestible story for individuals to see and really identify themselves or people that they know and love in it. So it's a story about a young man named Brett, and he is on his journey from high school football to college football, and he goes to, you know, one of the best colleges in his area. It's such an honor. His father played there, and it tells his perspective of the hits that he's taking and then the toll that it's taking on his life that's unseen, and how there's this inner dialogue where he's saying, just don't let them see, because there's so much on the line. He'll lose his scholarship, he'll lose cool points, he'll lose his teammates and all the things that he's been built up to believe are his life and his world, and he doesn't want that to come crashing down. So the symptoms that he's experiencing, he's intentionally hiding and trying to mask until it becomes too much. But I also tell it from the perspective of Brett's parents as well as his coaches. So parents, they have the societal, traditional position where dad is the tough football veteran, and he's, you know, large and broad, and he's standing with the arms crossed and is just very much like, this is the price you pay, and
right.
You know, my boy, he can
Man
handle
up.
it. Man up. Yes, you know, it's just a concussion, or he's getting his bell rung. You know, he's a warrior, and that's fine. And then you have the compassionate mother who is like, I know my baby and something is not right. And there is conflict and tension between the parents and Brett, within the parents themselves, within their marriage. There are actually two younger siblings that are twins to Brett, and well, twins, and they are his siblings, but they have the youth perspective of looking up to someone who is hiding these symptoms and then slowly becoming a different kind of big brother, where he's meaner to them and he's yelling at them and much shorter, and you don't play with us like you used to, and you're mean to mommy sometimes. Relationship is changing, and so you get to see that as a reader, and it is actually actually his spicy younger sister, the twin. Her name is Bridget, and she's actually based off of Ebony, my manager. Shout out to Ebony. So Ebony is that kind of feisty, and so I put that into Bridget, and she's the one who is telling Brett and her, her big brother who's in college playing for this great college, and she's like, hands on hips, like, you are mean now. I learned about brain talk, and there's talk about Brain Talk Day and my podcast, Candid Conversations with Dr. Kelli. And because Brett and the parents listen to this podcast, they have a deeper understanding of what could be happening to their son, because there's a mother that is on the podcast that tells her story about how her son died by suicide. And the signs that she was describing are the exact same signs that the family is seeing in Brett. And so Brett ends up listening to the episode, and it's, this harsh reality of, okay, I know that I've been hiding this, but something's got to give. And he has a decision to make. And then the coach's perspective really pours into that, internal battle of, I have a job to do and championships to win and players to develop. Yeah. But I've also heard about these, horrible conditions like SIS, which stands for Second Impact Syndrome, and how there's a 50% morbidity rate of that. And so one of the coaches has a flashback to 11 years prior when he was teaching in high school, and he had the same mindset of something's off with his player, but I've got a championship to win. So he allowed the player to play. And the player ended up experiencing SIS on the field, had to be heloed to a hospital where he later died. And these are real things that happen and things that I've experienced in my own practice or with consulting. I do have consulting services for people who have questions and want guidance. But those are all experiences that I've seen and or heard, and also from professional athletes that I have interviewed on the podcast or just, encountered and spoken with on my day-to-day.
Oh man, I mean, I'm like, what happened next?
You got to get the book to find out.
What happened next? You don't want to miss out on the book. Dr. Kelli, you are in Do Everything. Where can folks find you? What's the easiest place folks can find you? How can they get more of this good stuff that you're putting out there? Yes.
They can find me through the website, braintalkfoundation.org. They can also follow me on social media. We have Brain Talk Foundation on all the socials, and you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn, pretty much all the socials as well, for Dr. Kelli Brain Talk SLP, DRKELLI Brain Talk SLP. And if you would like to listen to the podcast, you can find that wherever you're streaming podcasts, as well as on YouTube. So that is Candid Conversations with Dr. Kelli. Candid and Conversation both start with K. And I'm doing a workshop for parents who are interested in learning about the signs and symptoms and how to advocate for their kids in the classroom. A lot of these signs and symptoms show up like other behavioral issues or ADHD diagnoses, and being able to advocate for their children in the hospitals and doctors' rooms as well, because there are doctors who may say, well, you didn't lose consciousness, so it's not a concussion, or standard imaging like CT scans, brain injuries don't always show up, and so doctors can mistakenly clear people to return to play or return to work, and then they could be at risk for SIS. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people have never heard of SIS, which is a Second Impact Syndrome, as I said. And so just helping people with the awareness, giving people that right to know about what could happen, and not the generalistic, like, yeah, there's a risk of concussion and, check out for signs and, okay, just sign right here on the dotted line and then you can play or your kid can play. Parents, athletes, everybody involved, they have a right to know what the real true risk is, and that is the goal of the workshop. And they can also get the book on the website, and just please reach out. We would love to connect. We are accepting sponsorship. If you would like to do some consulting and ask questions, you can do that through the website as well. And just always looking for partnerships and ways that we can help.
Dr. Kelli is literally everywhere, so you can't miss her. Reach out to her. She does respond. Dr. Kelli, as always, thank you for stopping here in studio. Thank you. It's the first time her seeing the logo and everything.
It's gorgeous. I
appreciate it. Thank you. We've been working to get this episode recorded. We finally got her in. she will make a return.
Yes, I will.
In a later episode, we'll dive into some other things. I have plenty of more questions to ask you, Dr. Kelli.
Well, I've got plenty more answers for you.
But thank you for joining us on the podcast, and thank you at home for watching, wherever you are watching this episode 704 Unfiltered. We'll see you guys next week.